Now it is pretty fun to watch white rhinos as they move their ears around. They can actually move their ears in every which direction possible, kind of like their own little built-in satellite. Well, since they do have very poor eyesight, they do rely very heavily on a lot of their hearing as a way to help them sense things that are coming up around them. But since they do have that very poor eyesight, I personally find their group name very fitting. It is in fact called a crash. Now my friends, as I do start to pull forward here as well, coming up on the hills to your left-hand side, if you look all the way in the right side of the hill, you're actually going to see a cheetah that's laying down in some of the sunlight there. Now cheetahs, they are the fastest land animal. They can run up to about 60 to 70 miles an hour. However, can only do that for a short amount of time before they have to stop and cool their bodies back down. Now, kind of like how we use our arms as a way to help us balance when we run, cheetahs do that same sort of a thing, only they do it with their tails. Now, they are the only daytime hunters, and they're also the only big cats that will purr. But underneath the cheetah's eye, very distinctive black line that goes from their eye straight down their cheek. Kind of like how football players put black under their eyes. It does help protect the cheetah's eyes from the bright sun during the day while they're trying to hunt. Next big rock formation here on your left, this is the Kopi Rocks. Also likes to attract a lot of big cats like those beautiful lions you'll start to see here towards the front of the Kopi Rocks. We'll definitely see them a little bit better across the way here as well. Now these lions, they're actually nocturnal animals, so they do spend about 18 to 20 hours of their day completely inactive. And of course at nighttime, the females, they are the ones that do most of their hunting. That way the males can sit back and of course protect the pride. Now a lion's roar, that can be heard from up to about 6 miles away. And at nighttime, their eyesight will become 6 times stronger than it was during the day. Now during the day, we actually see just as well as these beautiful lions do. You will see 2 lionesses here as well. Lioness is just a very fancy way to say a female lion, pretty much all the same thing. But these lions, like I said, do like to hang out towards the top of the rocks. That way when they look down to tall brush to see if there's any prey trying to hunt out from them. We can tell it's a younger male though, based on the color of his mane. The older the male lion gets, the darker that mane will become, and in certain parts of a male lion mane, it can actually start to turn black. But of course, my friends, the Swahili term for lion, now that is a name that we all know and love. It is indeed Simba. And speaking of Simba, if you look pretty closely over here on your left-hand side, you might see Simba's best friend, Pumbaa, also known as a couple of warthogs. They're right in between those 2 trees there on your left-hand side towards the back of the shade. Now warthogs, they're actually the largest burrowing animals. They'll back it up into their burrows just in case any larger predators come. They'll see some sharp tusks, and of course then they will run away. But don't actually call the warthog Pumbaa. No, Swahili phrase Pumbaa. That means foolish or silly. And of course they're definitely far from that. Right hand side here, off towards the back, you're going to see some grants, also known as plain zebras, a couple more white rhinos, but also up against island of trees or on your right, there's a whole nest of ostrich eggs down there on the ground. Got about 5 or 6 of them down there. An ostrich, they're actually the world's largest bird. Even though they are equipped to fly, well, they are completely flightless. Now, one of those ostrich eggs can weigh up to about 3 pounds and is the equivalent to 24 chicken eggs, so they're very, very large. You're going to see an ostrich here on your right-hand side. Now, these ostrich, they do like to lay their eggs in a big group, so sometimes in one area, you can see up to about 30 ostrich eggs, but that way they can kind of lay them and leave them. They don't necessarily have to try and sit around their eggs all day long. And of course with those zebras, we can tell if they are black with white stripes because of the color of their nose and their lips. But I don't recommend trying to get too close to those hind legs. No, with one swift kick, they can break a charging lion's jaw. Very, very powerful animals, and to prove how powerful those legs are, after they're born, it only takes them a couple of hours until they can actually get up and run. But my friends, as I do start to pull forward here, over on the hill to your left-hand side, white and tan animal there is called the scimitar horned oryx. And also a couple of birds here on your right-hand side as well. Those are the yellow-billed storks. Now they get their name because they do have a very long and beautiful yellow bill. The scimitar horned oryx, now they get their name because those horns on the tops of their heads do indeed look like scimitar swords. However, they're very, very fragile, so they do tend to break pretty easily. But those animals are unique. They can go up to about 9 months without ever taking a sip of water. They do get a really good majority of the water and the moisture that their body needs from a lot of the vegetation that they eat. But my friends, I am very sad to tell everyone that this gate right here, well, it does mark the end of our safari. So I am going to be driving now over to the nearest warden's post. But even though our journey has to come to an end, just for now, of course the conservation does not. Now, a really great way that you can help conserve is by recycling old cell phones and laptops. They contain a mineral called coltan, and that is mined in a lot of the natural habitats of the animals, like the ones that we just saw here on the reserve. For any friends on board who are looking for another up-close encounter with some of the animals right here